want to bring in Joe Walsh, who has some very interesting and I would say spicy opinions on a lot of things that are happening right now, and I think essential takes on what's happening right now. And when I saw one of Joe's takes, I reached out and I said, "No, I got to have Joe back on because Joe doesn't hold back." And I'm as pissed about this. I'm as pissed about this as Joe is. Joe, great to see you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Jim, first off, thank you for having Tara on to talk about that. Tara is so wonderful, continuing to put out like the human side of that story, all of these girls who were abused. We don't talk about that enough.
We don't, no. And when the book was coming out, Virginia Giuffre's book was coming out, Tara reached out and I was like, yeah, we got to do this. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel as though sometimes, they are kind of deviously trying to figure out inside the White House, inside the Oval Office, how could we get this Epstein story off the front burner? How could we bury it, get it out of the headlines? It sets off the dear leader and so on. And Joe Walsh, it's great to see you because there's a ton of stuff happening. And the one thing that you and I think are right in step with one another on is what is happening over at the White House right now, because it symbolizes so much as to what's happening in this country. They're literally tearing the shit out of the White House, the East Wing of the White House right now, so Trump can build this gaudy $250 million ballroom. Let's get your thoughts on this, Joe, because to me, as soon as I saw this, I was like, yes, we got to have Joe back on.
I got to tell you, Jim, I apologize if I'm not a very good guest today, because I looked at that image and I looked at that video yesterday and I just got profoundly sad. I spend most of every day yelling and shouting about all the outrageous things Trump does. But when I look at that, Jim, like that just makes me profoundly sad. And I don't want to, I hope this makes some sense. I had the same feeling when I saw those images of that people's house being demolished that I had on January 6th when we watched in real time the other people's house being attacked. I was just overcome with sadness that this is happening.
Yeah. Well, and I went, this is in case you're wondering where we got these pictures from, we didn't rip these off the internet. I went down to the White House today and I said, you know what, damn it, I'm going to go get my own pictures and video of this. I did a quick little report on this. Let's watch that and we'll talk about it on the other side. Gee, I wonder why the White House would have the entire perimeter of Lafayette Park closed to the public. It's entirely cordoned off right now. You can't get through it. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that the White House, because of Donald Trump, he has no respect for the people's house, is tearing a giant hole into the entrance of the East Wing of the White House. But don't despair, don't worry. Your intrepid reporter here found one part of the south end of the Treasury Department building where you can look through a fence and see how Trump is demolishing our democracy, or at least a part of it, here at the White House. This part of the White House is pretty damn important. It is where the general public will enter the White House for holiday parties. I took my son to one of these holiday parties back when Obama was president. And Trump says, don't worry about it. This 90,000 square foot ballroom that he's tearing down part of the White House for is going to cost $250 million, but it's going to be paid for by private donors. None of it will be paid for by the taxpayers. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. But in the meantime, there is now a giant hole in the side of the White House to go along with the giant hole inside the White House. There you go. That's my take on it, Joe. But I went down there today to take a look. And you're right. It is depressing to look at. But I thought it was so important that I was like, I got to go see this for myself. And it's unreal how big of a hole what they've done to the place.
Jim, thank you for that. And
Yeah.
thank you for that report today. No, look, I'm trying to figure out why this is impacting me so much. And the fact that the Treasury Department put word out today, don't show or share pictures
That's
of
right.
that.
Yes. They
It
told the
makes-
employees there, don't take any pictures.
Yeah, no. So this makes me think that a lot of Americans had the same reaction I did. Look, this is personal. You said it, Jim. That's our house.
Yep.
That's the people's house. I think this will seep through. I mean, you and I have talked. In the first 10 months, Trump has enacted so much destruction to the norms, the rules, the laws of this country. And so many of us shout every day about it. He's an authoritarian. He's going after his political opponents. He's shutting down speech. And it connects to a degree, but this is personal and it's concrete. He's destroying our house. I mean, it's right there.
You can see it for yourself. I mean, you know, I had to go. Listen, I had to go to, and you sort of know Washington like I do, Joe. You had to go to the south end of the Treasury Department where people line up to go into the White House Christmas parties and other holiday parties and so on. And they've put a lot of cordoning around the grounds now because this is how Trump runs things. And there's a Secret Service security fence sort of around this area of the south end of the Treasury Department. And I had to put my phone up to a hole in the fence, like the seam in the fence between the gate and the rest of the fencing, like this, to get a decent shot. And that's the only shot the general public can get. That's it.
It's amazing, Jim, that you were able to do it. Now
I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just saying that's how hard they make it. Yeah.
Well, and again, I'm surprised that you were able to get that close. Able to get that close.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
But look, again, we talk about the damage Trump has done. Okay, he decimated USAID. Well, a lot of this stuff we can fight maybe to try to get back. But there's the White House, those walls that have come down, the East Wing that has been demolished. It's kind of like that can't come back. This jackass in the fucking White House is destroying a permanent structure that can't come back. And then, Jim, I started to get angry at his enablers who've allowed him to do this. You know this. Yep. He can't do this on his own. There's a rigorous process to mess with the restructuring, structural changes of the White House. And he just blows right through all of that.
Goes right. It's supposed to be done through the National Park Service. You can't just willy-nilly start tearing walls down and that sort of thing, because obviously you have to keep it up with the historic character and the nature of the property. And he obviously doesn't give a shit about any of that. And when he says, "Oh, don't worry, $250 million we've got from the donors, it's going to pay for it all. The taxpayers don't have to worry about it." Joe, you worked in Washington. You're a Republican member of Congress. You're part of the Freedom Party. Yeah. I mean, come on. We know it's going to cost more than $250 million, and we're going to be on the hook for part of it. That's just how it is.
And Jim, as I'm with you right now, talking about this story, which still depresses me, we've got the President of the United States out there, it's reported, who's demanding the Justice Department repay him $230 million.
I saw that.
Do you see that for these investigations? I mean, just crazy stuff. But again, I'm profoundly sad. And I think a lot of Americans are, which is why they don't want those images that you got today, that video, they don't want anybody to see that. But I'll go ahead.
I was going to say, you have a solution for all this, though. What do you? I mean, I saw that you made mention what you think the next president of the United States should do. And when I saw this, I said, that is exactly what I think. If I became the next president of the United States, that's exactly what I would do. And that is your idea is what?
Oh my God, Jim. And I've just been a Democrat for 4 months, and I'm probably not running for president in 28, but I'd be out there screaming right now. My first act as president, I'm going to take a fucking bulldozer to that ballroom of his. I mean,
Yes.
immediately. Why isn't every potential Democratic leader out there who might run saying that? I said that if I'm elected president, I will open up the White House to the entire country the first weekend I'm president, and I'll invite every American with their sledgehammers and their crowbars, and let's tear that fucking ballroom down. Now, that's a lot of fun, and you and I laugh at that.
Yeah.
But my God, this is a serious point. He's
Yeah.
Democrats.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this ballroom. Yeah.
Tear down that ballroom. Oh my
God. Tear down that ballroom. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on it, man. And people might say, "Oh, that sounds a little crazy."
No.
Jim and Joe, they've gone off the deep end and so on. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and said how pissed off they are about this. And I'm sure you're hearing the same comments from your subscribers and viewers too. This hits people in the gut because this building belongs to all of us. And I mean, I hope that's how Gavin Newsom feels about it. I hope that's how these Democratic contenders feel about it, because it's totally obnoxious that they would try to double the footprint of the buildings that are on the White House grounds for this fucking ballroom, this gilded, gaudy Liberace wet dream ballroom that he wants to build there.
My biggest beef with my new political party is they don't seem to grasp this moment. Yeah. Here was an absolute softball that fucking dictator in the White House threw at everybody. And J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom and all of you great guys, man, get out there, make the same pledge that if you ever run for president and you get elected in 28, this is going to be your first act. That damn ballroom's coming down. But again, Jim, Trump can't do this.
He's not.
His Republican enablers have allowed him to do this.
That's right. And you mentioned January 6th earlier. I mean, we got to talk about this. A pardoned January 6th rioter, insurrectionist, whatever you want to call it, was arrested last weekend for allegedly threatening to kill Hakeem Jeffries, the House Democratic leader. And apparently he was saying, even if I am hated, he must be eliminated. This is a quote from the court filing. I will kill him for the future. This is somebody that Donald Trump, upon returning to the White House, pardoned and freed, said, hey, here you go. You're off scot-free. And Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, who, whatever Donald Trump says, he'll just go along with it, was asked about this. And let's play it and we'll talk about it.
I don't know any of the details of this at all. I don't know who's been alleged to have been involved in this. I will say that anybody who threatens political violence against elected officials or anyone else should be have the full weight and measure of the Department of Justice on their head. I trust that will happen. I hope it will. We are intellectually consistent about that, obviously. I will tell you this. The violence on the left is far more prevalent than the violence on the right. Don't make me go through the list. You all know it. All of these the assassination culture that's been advanced now, this is the left in almost every case that is advancing this and not the right. So let's not make it a partisan issue. You don't want me to go there. We're just going to say anybody, any deranged individual, this has to stop. And the rhetoric that you saw on display on Saturday, we highlighted yesterday, it plays into this. Okay.
Come on.
Shame on him. Shame on him, Jim.
Disgusting.
Shame on him.
Elected officials participating in a rally that was paid for by Soros and sponsored by communists with signs.
He's a jackass. I mean, he's a jackass. He's just going to say these ridiculous talking points that the No Kings has something to do with political violence. And
oh my God, Jim, you covered No Kings Day. You were all over it. I was out there. 99.9% of the people out there were peaceful, joyous, expressing their love for the country. I don't ever want to question anyone or consider anyone's religious faith, but doggone it, our speaker, Mike Johnson, is a very public, proud Christian. And the lengths that he goes to lie. Let's be real. He lies constantly. I don't want to be partisan, but the problem is left-wing violence. That's not true. That's a lie. Look at the last 30 years. Most of the political violence in this country is right-wing violence, but we condemn it all. He should have left it at that.
That's right. I mean, the FBI has said that right-wing political violence has been far more prevalent in this country than left-wing. But, the other issue is he doesn't even address the question. He doesn't address that Donald Trump pardoned these people. And this is not the first time that one of the pardoned people that Donald Trump let out of jail after January 6th, that they've done something from a criminal standpoint, acted out violently and criminally. But this is somebody who threatened the life of Hakeem Jeffries. And one has to think the longer this goes on,
Yeah.
the unstable people he released are going to be popping up here and there as folks who have done this.
How many more are out there? That's what I thought. Jim.
That's right.
And one other point that you made about 15 minutes ago, a Democratic congresswoman won an election in this country over a month ago. And that guy right there, Mike Johnson, Mr. Stand Up Mike Johnson, still has not sworn her in.
It's crazy. Adelita Grijalva. I mean, Joe, can you imagine if you had won a special election, you were a member of Congress, if you had won a special election and then had to wait a month to be sworn in? I mean, that's some horseshit right there.
I know people ask you all the time. They ask me all the time. They're worried about the 2026 midterms. Well, look, again, this is just openly defying rules and cheating. So imagine the worst that they will try to do in 26, period.
And speaking of cheating, the North Carolina State Senate apparently passed a GOP gerrymandering scheme. And they're going to basically add one seat to the total that Republicans have in the House here in Washington, and they're redrawing the seats. And they came out and admitted it. I mean, the leaders there in the North Carolina Senate admitted that they're doing this because Donald Trump asked them to. And that's basically what's taking place, right? I mean, Joe, you said it. They're just trying to steal the midterms. That's what's happening right in front of our eyes. They're just doing it.
It's open cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, again, go back to April, Jim. Donald Trump called Greg Abbott in April and said, I want 5 more Republican seats. And that started this whole mid-decade redistricting, unheard of. But that's just part of what they're going to do. Trump put an election denier in charge of our election security at the Department of Homeland Security. It goes on and on. Again, he's going to mess with, and they're going to mess with the 26 elections. It's why he's putting members of the military on our streets. This is a scary time. No kings. We were all happy and joyous. But the context here is this is a really, really scary time. And we need to be aware of that. And that fear needs to motivate us as well.
And you used to be part of that young conservative movement in the Republican Party. You've obviously changed your mind on a lot of things. Now you're a Democrat and so on. I'm wondering what your take is on, these texts that have been made public, this Telegram chat that has been made public that showed people, young Republicans, not that young, Mike Johnson, some of the others, J.D. Vance have said, oh, they're like kids. They're not kids. They're young adults, engaging in racist and anti-Semitic, Holocaust denying kind of rhetoric. And then this just came out today that Donald Trump he's picked somebody to lead the office of special counsel, a guy named Paul Ingrassia. Apparently told a group of fellow Republicans in a text chain that Martin Luther King's holiday should be tossed in the 7th circle of hell, and that he has a, quote, Nazi streak. This is according to a text chat reviewed by Politico. I mean, Joe, what do you make of all this? Is this a feature, not a bug? It seems to me this is all getting unearthed now.
It's Jim Acosta. That's a great way to frame it. You're right. I come from the right, and this kind of shit was always there in the shadows and talked about privately. Trump has brought everything out from underneath that rock. And what was once private, ugly, racist shit that people said, this is what's scary, Jim. So many of these people now are saying this stuff publicly. They feel emboldened. And weirdly, they look at Trump. Trump's their model. Some of them, Jim, have told me this. Like, they openly lie. They're open bigots. They're open xenophobes and all the rest. And oftentimes, Jim, their response to me is, well, Joe, Trump's been this way and Trump gets away with anything. And he's never paid a price for anything. So they see Trump modeling this shit. And now they're out loud and proud. And you've got people like J.D. Vance and others who don't condemn any of it.
Yeah. No, JD Vance was trying to write it off the other day. And what's incredible to me is that Trump had picked this guy to
Yeah.
lead a very important office, the office of special counsel of the White House. And to me, and I guess there's some Republican senators who have said, no, we're not going to we're not going to confirm this guy, so he may not get through, and they may have to pull this back. But to me, it tells me that there's some foreknowledge of this kind of shit that I think Trump knows. The people who are picking these people know, oh, he's one of us. It just seems to me there's that undercurrent there that they know. Okay, one of the reasons why they are being picked is because they harbor these kinds of views.
Agreed with that.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
it's like Trump has radicalized my former party. So now it's
Yeah.
all out in the open, and there's
Yeah.
no shame. None. And in fact, Jim, the scarier thing is a lot of these folks are true believers in this Nazi stuff and this racist stuff. I've said this before, and I know you know this. This notion of Christian nationalism, white Christian nationalism, it's a real strong animating force in today's Republican Party, and the country doesn't know enough about it. But it's what's behind a lot of this. I think Trump is just a vehicle for a lot of these people because he only believes in Trump. But the people surrounding Trump, they believe in this stuff.
Yeah. And it makes me worry about the future. It makes me worry about who's coming up the pike in the next 10, 15, 20 years and what he has unleashed. I think it's absolutely right what you said earlier, that this has lifted up a rock, and under that rock, you have this element of the Republican Party. And Joe, I was talking about this the other day. I think it was with Rick Wilson or somebody like that. The Republican Party used to have a tradition of keeping the lunatics outside of the tent. That was sort of the Reagan Bush philosophy, how you manage the Republican Party. Those folks, John Birch Society, KKK, David Duke, those kind of nuts, they get left on the outside. They don't get to come in the tent. And Trump has completely obliterated that notion, that idea.
Oh, Jim, when I publicly came out against Trump 7.5 years ago, MAGA was this fringe thing over here. It's now the party. It is the House caucus. And it's a growing part of the Senate caucus. Mike Lee, Utah Senator Mike Lee, and I used to be good friends. We would sit around and talk about the Constitution and the rule of law. And a guy like Mike Lee has sold out to this stuff.
Totally sold out.
And I never would have guessed that. It is the animating force among the base. Trump could be gone tomorrow. This thing's on autopilot now, so it's not going anywhere. I'm older than you. You're still such a young man.
No. I just hide it. I hide it.
I'm 84, Jim. I'm old.
No, but I saw you make a comment to Mike Lee, because Mike Lee, I guess, posted something about I'm at his house, because you went over to this Republican luncheon at the Olive Garden Applebee's patio that they have replaced the Rose Garden with. And Mike Lee was there, and he put out a tweet that said, "I'm here at his house."
At his house, Jim. Again, back in my day in Congress, there was no more constitutional conservative in Congress than Mike Lee. And now look at him, and you see the Republican Party. He's based Mike Lee. He's
what the hell is that?
What is that? He's cruel. He's Trumpy and MAGA, and he's brilliant, but he purposely displays ignorance of the Constitution and the rule of law.
He's kind of a dick.
He's a dick. But Jim, you're right. But there's great value among Republicans in being that way now.
Yeah.
You get rewarded. So a guy like Mike Lee now is that way.
Unreal. Well, Joe, great to see you. I'm glad we're of the same mind as to what should happen to Trump's lifestyles of the rich and
bulldoze
famous.
it, Jim. Fucking bulldozer that thing.
Ballroom. Just knock it the hell down. And I especially like the idea of inviting the public to come in and knock it down. I can just imagine little grannies with their sledgehammers and stuff like that, and little kids with hammers, and just make it like a little weekend project,
I love that. Acosta, Jim, I love that.
White House extreme makeover with Joe Walsh.
Thanks,
Good
man.
to see you, Joe.
Thanks, my friend.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Man, that White House could use an extreme makeover right now. It's getting an extremist makeover, I guess you could say, via Donald Trump. But I mean, just to go back and show those pictures again, if you're tuning in late, and by the way, shame on you if you tuned in late. I'm just kidding. But tune in early because you missed stuff. But I had to go. I went down to, I was just, I was getting ready for the show. Didn't have much time left before the show, I will say. Kind of ran in here at the last second to get going here. If I'm glistening a little bit, that's why. And it's not my face routine. It's because I'm sweating. And I ran down to the White House because I said, you got to be kidding me with this shit. You got to be kidding me that this guy is tearing a fucking hole in the White House right now. And I went down there, and the pictures that we saw 24 hours ago ain't the whole of it. Ain't the extent of it. Ain't the full scope of it. They're still tearing the shit out of the White House, ladies and gentlemen, right now as we speak. They've got bulldozers and all kinds of construction equipment. They've got these, I wish I could paint the full picture. They have these walls up, I think, to keep the public from seeing what's going on. And I had to go to this fence, this wrought iron fence that's been put up by the Secret Service. They've got all this fencing around the perimeter of the White House now. And I had to stick my damn phone up against the hole in the fence to get these fucking pictures. And there was another cameraman behind me doing it with his professional camera, but I did this with my iPhone. Thank goodness I've got a decent iPhone. But my God, they're just tearing the shit out of the White House. And nobody said, yes, go ahead and do this. He's just fucking doing it. He's just doing it. And the people who I guess are going to bankroll this are all of these corporate cowards who come into the White House and present Donald Trump with these ridiculous, pathetic golden offerings to the dear leader, like something out of Babylon or some shit like that. And these assholes are ponying up the money to pay for this monstrosity. 90,000 square foot faux gold ballroom, an embarrassment of a ballroom, an embarrassment of a federal building that is going to be built on the White House grounds. This is like right out of Back to the Future, where Biff has the Golden Casino or something like that. It's literally what Donald Trump is trying to do with the White House grounds. And nobody on the Republican side of things says boo. Nobody on the Republican side of things says, hold on a second. This White House belongs to all of us, God damn it. Nobody is saying jack shit. And the National Park Service, I guess they work for Donald Trump, but the National Park Service is supposed to be part of the process that you go through in order to alter important, significant federal buildings in this fashion. And he's just blowing through that. And I don't understand how this can go on in our country. Well, I mean, what's next? Are we going to put a goddamn Arby's at the top of the Washington Monument? I mean, he's paved over the Rose Garden to build the ridiculous Cheesecake Factory patio there. I mean, what's next? Are we going to add a hot tub to the Lincoln Memorial? Are we going to put a Chick-fil-A in the Jefferson Memorial? Can the Democrats take over Congress and just paint the Capitol blue? I mean, is that what's going on in this country right now? It's unreal. It is starting to feel less and less like our country. And Donald Trump on Sunday, he says, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off. I'm not a king. No kings. No kings. You heard Trump say that on Sunday. And then 24 fucking hours later, they're tearing the shit out of the White House. That's what a king does, ladies and gentlemen. That's what a king does. A king acts with no regard for anything else, for anyone else, for us, the people, the 350 million people in this country who might say, you know what, we have a problem with this shit. Can we have a public hearing? You know, if your local county commission wants to build a new park or convert rails to trails or build a school or anything. You have to have a public goddamn hearing so the members of the public can show up and say, maybe do this, maybe do that. A commission has to be hired to make sure that whatever school or park you're building is not some monstrosity. But Donald Trump over at the White House, apparently, because nobody will say shit in DC anymore, can do whatever the fuck he wants to the White House grounds. And I'm sorry if I'm a little pissed off and I'm using some salty language on a Tuesday, but my God, how is this allowed in this country? To our house, the people's house. He thinks it's his house. And somebody needs to send them a memo that lets them know you just can't, that ain't your house, man. It's time for this White House extremist makeover to end. My thanks to Tara Palmieri with the Red Letter Substack and the Tara Palmieri Show for reminding us once again about the importance of Virginia Giuffre, whose memoir comes out today. My thanks to Joe Walsh for stepping in and letting us know exactly how he feels. I'm right there with him. Tear down that ballroom. Next president comes in, just tear it the hell down. This is the people's house, and the people should have a say when it comes to the people's house. My thanks to all of you for watching. Still reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta. Have a good evening. I'll see you next time.